Gracias por contagiarnos de esa pasión.
Well, thank you very much, because all this passion is contagious. And we're going to give the floor to our moderator, Lucia, Director of the Citizenship Innovation Department of the Fernando de los Ríos Consortium. Thank you, and a big round of applause for them. Thank you.
Vamos a ubicarnos. Tú tienes el mando, ¿no?
Toma, te lo regalo.
Bueno, ya estamos listos. Desde aquí no se ve casi nada. Yo no sé qué habéis hecho antes para que podamos ver a la gente, pero ahora no se ve nada. Bueno, buenas tardes a todos. Estamos ya fuera de horario debido a los retrasos que hemos ido acumulando. Vamos a intentar hacer lo más ameno posible este panel, este último panel, en el que vamos a intentar compartir con vosotros, aunque esta sala es un poco difícil, ¿no? Pero vamos a intentarlo entre todos, contar nuestra experiencia de 3 proyectos muy distintos en el proceso del paso de la alfabetización a la innovación social, de la alfabetización digital a la innovación social. Me acompañan en este panel, a mi derecha, Tuija, que es profesora de la Universidad de Laurea de Ciencias Aplicadas de Finlandia y miembro de la Red Europea de Living Lab, ENOL. Y a mi izquierda me acompaña Alfonso Molina, profesor de Tecnología en la Universidad de Edimburgo y director de la Fundación Mondo Digitale. Vamos a intentar distribuirnos los tiempos para aprovechar la presencia de Tuija y Alfonso. En primer lugar va a tomar la palabra Tuija para hacernos su presentación, después lo hará Alfonso, yo lo haré al final porque también me ha tocado moderar este panel. Y bueno, nos hemos preparado, como hemos tenido tiempo, una serie de preguntas que queremos al final compartir con vosotros y queremos que sea, pues también como ha comentado Ángel Ortiz, que en definitiva hemos venido más a aprender que a contaros cosas. Lanzaremos una serie de preguntas e intentaremos buscar la respuesta. Tienes la palabra tuya, ¿vale? Tienes tu presentación y con este mando tienes tu tiempo.
Okay, so it's... Let me start by introducing you the European Network of Living Labs, ENOL, because we are there to help you if you will agree with what I'm proposing for you. It's a network with approximately 300 members, and behind that network, thousands of companies, cities, universities, and then again, hundreds of thousands of citizens. It's our belief that we have to engage the different stakeholders, the cities, the companies, the universities, and the citizens to the innovation process and to help everybody to utilize the technology. That's what we do, that's what we believe on, and that's what we are suggesting for you too. The telecenters to operate as living laboratories, boosting innovation, helping people to use the technology in order to become innovators. We are also scaling up what we have learned to the policy level.
No funciona esto.
For example, the day after tomorrow, the regional, the committee of the regions will vote for closing the innovation divide proposal, which is pretty much having the same message as I'm putting forward here. So there you have the definition of living labs, and the core here is that we are engaging the end users of whatever we are developing. May it be a product, a service, a new process, a new concept, but the end users are supposed to be involved. I will just provide you a couple of examples from Helsinki region and elsewhere in Europe what we have been doing. It all started from Helsinki region, so that's why I'm starting from there. For example, the elderly people or all of us as the clients of healthcare system or as the users of health-related devices has been invited to develop the devices and the processes, and that's how we have been successfully addressing new markets, both in our own countries and cross-nationally and in other continents. Here you see some of the examples, and I will take the liberty of introducing my own university, which is also running several living laboratories, which means that the students are our partner innovators. So they are certainly not only studying in order to learn the things, to memorize the things, but to apply what they have learned. We are empowering them to become entrepreneurs and to make most out of what they have learned. And the living laboratories with the citizens and the companies are providing them excellent opportunity to train and to do all this. So, as mentioned, the joint research, development and innovation projects are bringing together all type of parties, from the users all the way to the policy level, because we want to see the integration of bottom-up and top-down approaches. This is how we can create new market opportunities, new business opportunities, and most of all, interesting job opportunities for everybody. A Caring TV was developed by the grandmothers with our students, and it has been used by the elderly people and by doctors, nurses, caregivers, and our staff members. A great example of what the elderly people can do as an innovator if we allow them to do that. They have also been engaged in developing games, interesting elderly people, not only using games but developing iPad games. Another project which is going on for the moment is creating software for mobile phones, which will help the elderly people to move around in the cities or wherever they are located. I'm just providing you 3 hints. These 3 books might help you. Design for Empathic Society is about social and societal innovation. Knowledge Triangle is about how to involve the regional players and the policy level innovation policy to your operations, and the co-creation, co-production, co-creation guidebook is for those who want to make business out of service collaboration. I want to finish my part by introducing my hero. He's young, or he used to be a young student when he started the R Labs. It's located in Cape Town, and R refers for reconstructed. He wanted to bring hope to those and to those places where no hope existed. He helped the young Africans to use the social media, and he has been successful on doing that. He has been creating a huge movement where waves and waves of people are teaching each other how to use the computers, how to create content to social media, and how to make business with all of this. He has been scaling up this model to other countries, even to Finland. So I think this was my contribution so far.
Ok, gracias.
La colocan ella, ¿no? Sí.
¿Te la ponen?
¿Todavía no viene?
Excuse me. A ver.
Ok, algunas premisas.
Some short premises. We live in a world with a flow of change. There's a change in knowledge at a great pace. There are new technologies, new technology fields. And not only technology changes, the organization forms change as well. The trade, the commerce, the way we research, the way we develop, the means of production. Innovation itself changes. And this creates both opportunities and challenges. But it is not only that should be worrying us, because we live in a world with a deep crisis of values, a world in which perversion in a sector, in a financial sector that has created a gigantic crisis and then has left it on the shoulders of the poorest sectors of society. This crisis of values, this continuous change of technology and science, of organizations, of the way to innovate, calls to a new type of education. And it has to be an education for life. It has 3 levels. The first level is the level that we know in schools and universities, the level of codification, modified content, chemistry, etc., etc. The second level is the level known as important in education in the 21st century, which is the competence for life. We speak about creativity, innovation, responsibility, teamwork, and all these things that have been named as competences for life. The third level is in the root of the crisis that we're living in a social level. The level of selfishness, whether it's generosity, competition, etc. And we find education which is cultural. We are aiming at these 3 levels. And now I will show you how we are making this operative, how this transformation towards a change in collective awareness is taking place. It is a process that we should start now. Entering schools, universities, and creating the flows of knowledge, passion. This process has a project shape. Let's see. We have a general approach towards education, which should be experienced, an experienced one. It should be practical. So social innovation itself as a process in the change of the design of products, etc., or social changes as well. And this requires the best technologies. We speak about multiple elements, multimediality, multiple platforms like Google Glasses, iPad, iPhone, etc. All these moves towards a whole new reality that emerges. Mixed reality, etc., which is building new cognitive ways. Therefore, we require a multimodality from the cognitive perspective because we are multiple. The 7th or 8th intelligences by Gardner. Therefore, if we are going to make a customized education a reality, we have to use everything that is emerging, and what's emerging is enormous today. Open data, etc. Therefore, an atmosphere or platforms is essential, and this lies behind these projects. We started with digital literacy courses for the elderly in Rome with an intergenerational approach that was made into an international solidarity element, which is more systemic. Systems that have a physical and a virtual expression. Therefore, the integration of physical and virtual becomes competence for life. There's a new project that I finished in 6 regions in the south, and the results are courses for 8,000 citizens with the creation of handbooks, video lessons, etc. that are important for the elderly. 1,500 students that were tutors. Therefore, there's a mobilization of energies in the territory. There are events in this regard. Computers are recycled. There are internet corners in the elderly centers. There are advanced courses. All this is made online. And this is the evolution of this particular element for literacy, digital literacy. But we have moved towards innovations literacy. And we have a second project, which is a robotic project. Robotics is technology with transversal elements that moves from primary school to the industry. And we have created a network, a multi-sector network. And this network contains organizations from secondary, primary schools, high schools, universities, national research centers, industry, etc. It is a national network, and we have created also handbooks, guidelines, and we have events that are seen in competitions of the various products produced by students. There are conferences, workshops, exhibitions, etc. This takes to innovation because robotics is one of the technologies of the future. In the future, we expect the market of service robotics will be a market of many billions. So if we look at the market and we see the evolution of technology, of education, the creation of systems that include all members of the network in national robotics and international robotics, both in physical sense and other senses, this is the way we work. We have moved to innovation to see how we can create it at this school level. We have a project with Microsoft, which is an experimental one, and we have created a type of content that enables us to teach the identification of an idea. We can't expect them to come up with an idea. We have to challenge them. We have to stimulate them. We have to make them look for an idea. And for them, there's a tremendous amount of knowledge which moves from the identification of the idea, the decision between or amongst various ideas, a problem, we all know that the nature of a problem is only like the tip of an iceberg. The tip which is visible is small, but there is a whole knowledge of the root causes, the root problems. There are instruments that the industry has used for decades now. All this problem-solving cycle may reach the various entrepreneurs, and this can be codified at the service of a specific projects that may reach students working for territory, working for the community. Why is it important? Because it is there where character is formed. If we, in the world of schools, are thinking about how to build for the community, how to give our talent, how to give our work, then we can reach education for life. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, sobre todo por respetar los tiempos a los dos. Yo voy a pasar ahora a
Thank you. Now I'm going to speak about Guadalinfo, both in questions and discussion. Do we have a presentation?
Me voy a aventurar y la voy a hacer de pie también, que seguramente que es mucho más ameno. Bueno, no, como no veo las caras, no sé si la mayoría de...
Well, I'm sure that many of you are from Guadalinfo, so I would like to briefly go through our network so that you can realize what the context is in this process of evolution of literacy and social innovation. In our network in Andalusia, we have more than 1,000 telecenters, several ones outside Andalusia, a network of 800 actors for Guadalinfo, 10,000 computers, 160,000 activities, 770 local entities. This is very important. And one of the keys to success for this project, almost 800 ones that are involved in citizenship, and more than 100,000 public and private entities that are connected with these users for transformation of the community.
The result is very powerful. More than 1,400 projects created and led by users in the whole of the territory, 1,700 companies, more than 2,000 public organizations, and more than 3,000 local associations, with participants in the social network called Guadalinfo. These are like the main pillars of our community. This is the reflection of all the work done in an analogical way in the different centers, has a projection in the network through the social network guadalinfo.es. When we started our activity, we came from the idea that technologies were the territory of opportunities. I'm talking about 10 years ago. And as we evolved in this project, we were much more convinced that opportunities were in the territory. And we've changed many things. In 10 years, I will tell you about this evolution process. We're holding the anniversary of Guadalinfo project in 2013. We've changed many things. We've changed many dynamics. But what we haven't changed, and we're very proud of, is values, the community values in which the whole of this strategy is developed, based on trust, cooperation, co-responsibility and cohesion. In this process, citizenship acquires a different kind of character. The needs of citizens are different, they're diverse, and the challenges and risks ask for new capacities and new ways of changing, and which would transform the community in which we live. New technologies and new relationship models are part of this new paradigm. For us, innovation is based on people, and people with very different kinds of characteristics. Entrepreneurs, young people, very highly qualified, company owners and social leaders. With people with very good ideas, with competitiveness, people with a good imagination, and I think that all of us think about these values as being part of their organizations and networks, and these are the most successful values. So we start working with the digital and innovation literacy. And we talk about social innovation, and we talk about social, not product innovation, but social innovation. The process of social innovation in Guadalinfo comes from a bottom-up model. It couldn't be otherwise because it's a very grounded network with more than 800,000 users. The ideas are born in the community, they're shared, they're improved, but they come back to the starting point, and the different users start to benefit from it. We talk about innovation because it refers to the capacity of implement innovative ideas, and it's also social, not only because of the nature of problems and needs dealt with, because you've seen here some of those ideas and experiences, but also because they generate a value which is not focused on the results, but the improvement of the well-being of the community. We started from the idea of the project, and with that project, we wanted all these qualities and all that knowledge to be projected on the different networks and generate value. We see how Guadalinfo is the space where we can digitally connect all these talents. How's that innovation? How does it work? How is it produced? We've tested and we've implemented this methodology, which we're going to share, and we're starting to draw the results. And we're here to tell you about the results of the different stages of the process. There are different kinds of social innovation. We are based on the users, sometimes on experts, sometimes they're open, sometimes they're closed. In that evolution, we have kept on working, focusing on users with the lab, and also with the Fernando de los Ríos Consortium, which is part of the European network of the Living Lab. We have a very open model. And it's a model between user and expert, and we have been lucky to enjoy something related to this before, and it's where our network feels very comfortable. It's that kind of model, an open model focused on the user, but with the participation of experts as well. One of the basic criteria which rules our network, Guadalinfo network, is that we need to have as many means as we can to accelerate, to speed up the processes. And in the network, they sort of multiply themselves. The first thing we look for is a favorable environment. Our territorial network is the place to implement motivation strategies to work with citizenship. The organization of the center is changing. We've gone from an offer model to a demand offer and an active listening. We've gone to advanced centers, hub, living lab. All the resources are used by the whole of the community. They're not resources used by the dynamizer only, but also everybody, every user of the center. There is an ongoing improvement of telecommunications, or as much as we can, adequate systems for the best technological solution, etc. The next step is a real participation. We need to build in that community where that dynamizer is working. We need to build a real participation using, as I said before, all those co-creation and co-working spaces. The dynamizer the role of this person evolves, and he's a facilitator, and he doesn't have to solve all the problems. One of the challenges for these kind of people is teletraining. So Dynamizer is not able to solve all the problems of users, but they can connect this person to another person who can actually help them, or who can find a solution, or who can find that training offer. We work in a peer-to-peer model. We all learn from each other. It's a horizontal network. We all have knowledge. We all generate knowledge, and we all share this knowledge. And this is a reality in WordInfo. We use all the tools and cooperative apps, as Alfonso said. Surveys, Facebook, Google Drive, and active listening to the users. We foster participation, project selection, according to the resources that we have, etc. And in sum, we have created space, a favorable environment for transformation, for co-working, for cooperative work, where technology is a means and is not an end. And the second process would be the stimulation and development of creativity processes to generate new ideas. Well, creativity is essential in our WordInfo Center, because we will be working with all processes of design thinking with the whole network of dynamizers to work very closely with users to understand what they need, to observe, to define, to go to the creative ideas generation using prototypes and starting to implement those ideas. We test, we select, and finally we execute and we implement, as we said, according to the resources available. These are processes which have been working, have been implemented for a very long time. And once all those ideas are generated, they have to come to WordInfo. And why do we share those ideas? Because we have the tools to improve or to accelerate that idea. We have a social knowledge network of more than 800,000 users. Also, a process for assessment, and also an advising process. And once we have gone through all those processes, everything's shared. And soon we will be able to see that space of ideas generation. The third stage in the process of innovation is the talent and mentoring process. And there we can see that going from digital to innovation. Why do we talk about those two terms? Well, I will explain later on. I'm going to talk about social mentoring. This is a reality in our network, WordInfo network, at the beginning. And actually tomorrow we have a panel with the first round of projects with this social mentoring. These are experts which are going to offer their advice to young entrepreneurs and not so young entrepreneurs. They will give them their time for free, but in the end they will benefit from all that work, all that cooperative work as well. This is our community. These are the first project which will be part of this social mentoring group. We have these experts working for us. Well, I'm sure that many of you have shared some panel with them, and tomorrow you have the opportunity. If you have a project and you need if you need mentoring, you will have the opportunity to share your space with all these experts who will be transferring their knowledge. That took place and takes place in the Inicia community. This is where the ideas arrive, where we develop this process of mentoring, where we have the reinforcement by experts, and where a whole revolution starts with the generation of the project. Then we move on to the WordInfo portal, and that's where everything is made visible to connect to other projects, other users, and to connect to the rest of the world. And this portal, which is a reality. Well, I was lucky enough to meet Alfonso last year and the year before. He had a project which was Mundo Digital, Digital Mundo World. And there were experiences already which were being developed hand to hand. These are projects that you already know, Free from Barriers and other projects. Well, one of these projects was very special. And why do we innovate in these phase of talent and capacity? Because it's in the methodology of training where the key is. We have focused and centered all our effort in the MOOC. We have also the first MOOC of the Watalinfo project. In 3 days, we've had 500 inscriptions of 500 users, and also PLES, P-L-E-S, the learning personal environments. So literacy in innovation or innovation in literacy means that we have to generate open spaces for cooperation where everybody has got to be responsible for their own training and ongoing learning. I would invite you to go into this MOOC Watalinfo to help us improve this new methodology, which started a couple of days ago. This is the image of the MOOC, the PLES as well, these personal learning plans where you fix your own objectives and you establish your own learning. On the other hand, we have the fourth stage in the process of innovation. This is related to funding and sustainability of the system. Here, we need to try to reinforce these public-private partnership. When we talk about funding, we don't only mention projects, but also the Watalinfo project itself. When we talk about funding, we're talking about an improvement of the hiring of services of the project, also looking for funding through European projects and lines of action. We have the crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and all possible sources of funding for our project. But here in this stage, we focus on this crowdfunding. Yesterday, or at 12 at night, or if we would say today, this started to act. Nodo Goteo Andalucía, this Andalusian network for a collective funding and distributed cooperation. It has been made visible, and this is not easy. They have to be projects with a certain kind of profile. And in just a few hours, they've got 300 euros funding. And we were very much surprised because we didn't develop a communication strategy, but these projects already have funding through this social network. It's a collective funding, but also distributed cooperation. And that's maybe where we have to focus. It's not only monetary resources, but we have to go further beyond that. The main aim is the possibility to create a community and a social network around their project. So that means not only receiving money, but also services which would complement people, because they have to geolocalize if there is a production process or any other kind of resource, not only these economic resources. So that's why Goteo is important, because it's not only a funding network. It also works with more specialized services. And this is the image of the Nodo Goteo Andalucía with the 3 projects. That, well, I put this here before it started its production, but and we could see that they already have collaborative funding. The last stage is the creation of identity, and in this stage we cannot leave a communication strategy aside through Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc. Things that everybody knows and manage, and we have to work with transparency and creating a community in the network. These are all these stages we're going through since we started in our Guadalinfo project, and all these stages have been tested with wonderful results. What we're trying to do now is to make it extensive to the rest of the network and other networks. How do we think we have to promote social innovation? Well, first of all, we have to make institutional arrangements with all the public-private actors and partners. Without that, this model cannot work. We have to find incentives for knowledge exchange, like what we're doing today and tomorrow. It's of vital importance. Training programs to diversify funding sources, articulate innovation work with more institutional capacity, creating formal and informal spaces for the generation of ideas, and also mechanisms of dissemination of the information. I wanted to finish with Manuel Castell's sentence saying, Internet is a cultural creation which allows for the creation of a new economy, development, innovation, and economic productivity. And without further delay, we're going to ask you some questions, and the first one of them is very much related to what we commented on at the beginning. We wanted to learn from you. So I wanted you to share with us some experience about the evolution of these processes of social innovation and literacy processes. Does anybody dare to take the microphone and share with us some experience? I can't see anything. I saw some people in the other session that maybe didn't talk because I didn't really see them. Is there any question for any of the speakers? Is there any question between the speakers? I don't have any more combinations here. Our director is here. He's got a question. Yes, but before, as there is someone who was brave enough, we're going to throw you another question. What are the main challenges we have to face? It's similar to the question asked at the beginning of the afternoon. What are the main challenges in this process of the evolution from digital literacy, innovation in literacy, to digital innovation? Do we have a microphone? I don't think they're going to hear you. At the back. There's no microphone?
Te dejamos uno de estos. ¿Te dejamos uno?
¿O vienes a hablar aquí?
Should we lend them one?
Pregunta para ti.
Tuya, one question for you.
Buenas tardes,
Good evening. Welcome to Spark, and having the European Living Lab Network here, which is establishing a very important mark in the development of innovation in Europe. As our Guadalinfo network is a living lab, and it belongs to the European Council, an all-European Council. I wanted to tell you that for us, it's a great pleasure. It's very important to have you here today because we're going to sign an agreement between the European Network of Living Lab and the global community of telecenters to act commonly, to not act individually and, like fight apart, but to build a joint strategy for the development of labs for citizenship innovation, sharing knowledge, sharing tools, and sharing experiences, and most of all, building a lab which allows companies to participate in this social innovation process, which is our main aim, our main objective. They would participate with actions which are like the ones in part of the European networks of Living Lab. Well, practically trying and making mistakes and learning from mistakes and learning from failure. And also something which is very common in the Finnish culture. The Latin culture, maybe failure in the Latin culture is not very positively regarded, but we really want to learn from our mistakes, and we want to change the general concept of learning from failure. On the 13th of August of 2013, in the Watalinfo network, we will celebrate our Failure Day. It's Tuesday, and we're in Spain, we're superstitious about Tuesday 13th. So we also wanted to learn from you with the experiences you have related to failure. I wanted to tell you that we're going to sign this agreement in the summer school in Enol, and there we will sign this working protocol. This is an announcement that I'm making. We will sign it in a month to establish a joint strategy with this network, which is doing so many things for innovation in the world. The Latin American network is very much interested, the European networks as well, and the African network in Africa. We would also like to develop some actions related to social innovation.
Thank you. Certainly agree, and let's also invite everybody else to Manchester to the Enol Summer School, which will be held in August, and the memorandum or agreement will be signed there. I think we need to stress the mutual learning, because this is not about copy-pasting from one model to another. It's about really co-creating the things together. It's based on trust, as was mentioned here. And if we are, as I believe we will be, good enough to create also trust not only between the individuals and individual organizations or a couple of networks, but if we are able to scale up this to the regional level so that our regions all over Europe can learn from each other's, and we can bring this message, what you have been doing here, I really admire your work. Bring it all over the Europe, so together we can get out of the crisis, and also we will help the rest of the world to join us. So I enjoy being here, doing these things together, and I also, as a teacher, I really love to invite the next generation to do these things with us, because it's not only about creating the jobs for them, but it's their society, it's their future, and they will help us to create a better world and to make also the peaceful movement possible all over the world. I want to finalize stressing the importance of peace. If you look at my neighbor country, Sweden, if you have heard the news from last week, the riots in some of the suburbs in Stockholm region, or if you go back to Finland, where we have had some really critical shooting incidents at the schools, we really need to stop and think have a second thought. How can we help the young generation to really contribute to the society in a positive way and not to suffer from what we created, but allow them to join and create a better world? This is what we are doing in your network, and that's what I think the European Network of Living Labs is for.
Gracias. Para Alfonso, otra cuestión para Alfonso Molina.
Another question for Alfonso Molina. First of all, I want to thank you for the effort. The categorization, the normalization on what is being done on the social ground. Somebody has to do that on the practice, because we're on everyday practice. Lucia explained this very well. The prototype of social innovation is based on what we do, not on wishful thinking, but on what happens every day. And the categorization that you're doing is very necessary. So far, we've spoken a lot about digital literacy, but just a little from the point of view of research on social innovation linked to human behavior. So there's a lot to do here, and your work in the Verso Foundation in Italy, we have to link it to what we do. Because maybe with different words, but this will be able to link it from the University of Edinburgh as well. So we do invite you to actively take part in the network. Actually, you do belong to the network in Europe, the European Network of Telecentres. So we're going to be increasingly close. But we have to produce in the sense that you're producing more literature to be able to live this innovation very clearly in our society, as Juan Carlos Rodríguez Ibarra said. And the ones that are in charge politically are obviously interested. Entrepreneurs are also important, and this is something that you're doing from the scientific point of view, which is very important to have these essential elements that it is very important, very relevant. Thank you very much for this work. Social innovation is a very new field. Innovation is 50 years old, but technological innovation is only 5 years old, 5 or 6. So social entrepreneurship was also important, and social innovation as well. There are big challenges that are theoretical challenges, because social innovation amplifies complexity enormously, especially the relations among sectors. For instance, the industry-university relation, etc. This has been going on since the 1980s. But today we speak specifically about clusters or networks, multi-sector networks, where we see connected interests that are move from or range from non-profit sector to profit sector, government, communities, etc. And this generates, obviously, an academic problem, a theoretical problem, on how to theorize on the training of governance based on the grounds of power. And there are many topics in this regard that are seen. We have moved so far slowly in taxonomies and definitions. At the beginning, there was one definition for each person. Somebody had done a compendium of 200 definitions of social innovation. So from the academic perspective, this is a problem. And we also have the problem of universities themselves being devoted to research only, even though this is changing. In Great Britain, for the first time, we will assess all researchers. On the grounds of publications, not only publications, which was the essential thing, now 25% of assessment will be the impact of their work, of academic work in the community, the relevance of the scientific work. Therefore, universities create domestic institutionality, so they want to be big actors of responses to big global challenges. So there's a movement towards the simple art of research, or Investigación in Spanish, or what we're trying to do in Rome with the organization that we've created, which is Action, Research, Development and Implementation. So it's the whole cycle that includes a high-level theorization, which could also be the connection with universities. And these theories are transformed into elements that can be applied to specific elements, and all these will be useful for the R&D and implementation of R&D, which is the real change. What is important is that all this action, research, development and implementation is not only devoted to improving production processes, but also to improve society itself.
Bueno, pues damos por tuya. ¿Tienes alguna aportación más? Y si no, damos por...
So we'll close the panel then, and we want to take as a new challenge for the new Spark to find the role of governments in the new model for literacy or social innovation. Because associational fabric has leadership, entrepreneurs have leadership. So in this new innovation ecosystem, what is the role of governments and what is the role they're going to play? So we hereby close the panel and the whole of today's session. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias por haber estado en esta última parte.
Thank you very much for being here in the last part of the day. And I would like to invite you all to go up to the terrace to enjoy the food and the wine. Thank you very much and see you tomorrow.